What was Philip like? Philip Rivers.
I hated Phil with every ounce of my heart. I mean, I hated him because, when you're watching film in college or in the pros, there's no sound.
There's no sound.
And so you're watching guys, so you just see him the whole time doing this, and you don't know what he's saying.
And he looks very petty.
He's looked petty. He's talking,
Yes. Welcome back, guys, to another episode of Not Just Football with Cam Heyward. You know me, I'm Cam Heyward. You know Hayden, he's my friend and producer. We got a great show. And Hayden, how's your time been since Super Bowl?
Recovering. It was a week. It was a lot of fun spending time with you and the Omaha crew and the Caesars crew. A lot of fun, but I think we needed a week to recover. How have you been? And you've been traveling a lot and doing a lot. So how you been?
I've been good. You see on Twitter, people are already asking for my retirement. Me having fun, retweeting it and, going with it. But,
I was concerned. I got to stop you. I was concerned. You didn't call me first to say you retired. And then I get on Twitter this morning and I see you retired. Can you explain to us what the hell is going on? Are you retiring?
I'm not retiring as of right now. I'm just in the moment.
Oh, okay. Okay. Is this like a Brady moment? Like you'll be back in August or whatever that is?
Bro, you won't see me on no damn beach about to do my retirement. I'll say that. Like, okay. I'm getting ready. I'm working out too damn much to be worried about retirement right now. I think I'm just trying to, lay low for a little bit. We've had a long season. Super Bowl week really took out of me too, running around, doing God knows what. But it's just time to be a dad and, time to focus on, getting better. And that's what I'm doing right now. And that's me just retweeting stuff, not having fun with it.
Okay, so you're not retiring. And I will say, I'll give you credit. I'm exhausted with Super Bowl week. You probably did 10 to 15 times more than me that week. So I can't imagine how you're feeling, but I'm glad you made it out.
Yeah.
Okay. And were you able to watch were you able to enjoy the NBA All-Star game or anything else this weekend?
I tried to watch the NBA All-Star game and I thought the NFL Pro Bowl was bad. They were literally firing just shots. That was, I think someone said it was a glorified layup line, and they were not lying about that. There was no defense played. It was more of a skills competition than an actual game.
Yeah, and we'll get to the All-Star game here in a minute, but I really want to get to what I thought the biggest story from that was, and it's DK Metcalf winning the MVP of the celebrity game and then getting drug tested by the NFL after, I guess because he played so well.
Yeah, the DK Metcalf stuff, okay, he wins the game and, plays great. But the thing I don't think it's real at all. I think it's kind of just, everybody just playing along for the show. NFL's got to make their money. Everybody's got to make their buck. What better way than DK showing off some unrealistic highlight of him jumping, which I don't think is real. It's like that Michael Vick clip from all those years back, throwing the ball out of the stadium, or LeBron shooting from half court, which I've seen him do. But the other one he did was wasn't it like a Powerade commercial where he literally just launched it one hand and, he made it and, it was part of the Powerade slogan. So now we have DK Metcalf. It's not an ordinary jump. He doesn't even go down all the way to explode. It was just literally like a quarter squat, then jumps, and it's like 20 feet in the air. And then to piggyback on that, NFL sends a drug test. And I just think it's kind of funny how all this stuff works. All of this is just trying to get you to buy into the hoopla and pay attention more to DK Metcalf, the NFL's superstar. But yeah, that's what it is.
I will say, I don't know if it's real or not. I can't tell on these things anymore, but it did give me Kobe jumping over the car vibes. Remember when Kobe did that? It's really what it reminded me of because he went way up in the air to get that ball. I mean, I don't know.
It was unrealistic. It was like he jumped, like the fence was behind him. He jumped higher than the fence, and it made no sense. Like, I just, everybody's trying to do these things with cameras now. I think Tom Brady did something.
Mm-hmm.
There was one guy who threw it up in the air down the field and was able to catch under it. I don't know what you would do for a defensive lineman, but sign me up so we can make this happen so I can get drug tested too. How about
I was wondering that too. Like, what do you got to do? Like, put a bunch of plates on the bench press and bench press like 600 pounds. Go work out with James Harrison and do his workouts or something to get noticed, to get drug tested. What do you need to do to get a drug test letter from the NFL?
I'll get my drug test sooner or later.
One thing I did want to ask you on this, you played ball in high school. Do you think you could win the Celebrity All-Star Game MVP?
Yes. I see some of those celebrities, and I am very shocked that they're even playing basketball. You know, you can't tell me that, you know, Frankie Muniz can beat me in basketball, or, you know, some of the random people they have out there. You know, I think it's a really cool opportunity to be a part of. I'd love to take part in it, but I can say I haven't played pickup basketball in a couple years. My agent always likes to bring up the story of when we were there, when we were getting ready for my draft. I was like, let's get together with some of my buddies. My agents came, and we went to, you know, the local Lifetime, and we're running up the court, you know, having some fun. And then there was this one guy, you know, who wasn't part of our group, who kind of like tried to undercut me under the basket. And that kind of just lit a fire under me, and I just wanted to go back at him the entire time. So, you know, if you poke the bear, I will poke back. And so that's kind of my thing, where I have to, you know, temper it a little bit and, you know, be smart about it nowadays. Because I remember a couple years ago, Terrell Suggs was playing basketball and tore his Achilles. And, you know, that was a story in itself where, you know, the Ravens didn't even have to cover him. They could have just cut him, and then, you know, it breaches his contract. He doesn't get paid. And ever since then, I've kind of been like, I don't need to play as much basketball as I used to.
And I don't blame you for that. And I also don't know that the Celebrity All-Star Game is ready for how competitive you get when we play basketball, because even a couple years ago for your 30th, I think we all came up to play some pickup. And at one point, it was everybody watching you and Corey, your brother, just go at each other. It was basically clear out and let them go at it, and you two got into it. It just felt like each possession. So I don't know that your competitiveness is going to be welcomed in that game. It seems like it's almost too much fun for someone like you.
People really don't know how competitive I am.
No.
I try to hold back sometimes, and
I don't think they have any idea. Like, it's seriously, like you have this persona of nice guy, Walter Payton Man of the Year nominee, all this stuff, right? But dude, if you get in between the lines, you're the biggest. I'm sorry to say that on the pod.
I'm a jerk. You're a
huge jerk, dude. You suck playing against. You're the worst because you're just so annoying. I mean, it sucks.
Plus, I talk a lot of junk too. Like, let's not, like, I am not one of those nuns that just, you know, hides in the corner. Like, I back it up, and I plan on making sure, you know, I can back it up. That's why me and my wife can't play Mario Kart anymore. It just gets out of control.
Yeah, you're too competitive. So I don't think Celebrity All-Star Game, but I would love to see you in it, because I know you'd take it entirely too serious. All right, I want to get into some NFL stuff that happened over the weekend.
Yes.
Derek Carr met with the Jets. Has your buddy told you where he's going? I know you guys are extremely close. You got the last Raiders jersey. Tell me, where's Derek going, and what's he told you?
My buddy, like, we just, I wouldn't say he's like I didn't know he was considered my best friend, but Derek Carr is a good friend of mine. I don't think he hasn't told me where he's going, but there's definitely some opportunities for him to go some really good places. I think the New York Jets could be an option if the Aaron Rodgers thing doesn't work out. I think a great opportunity for him would be New Orleans. You know, I think him with Michael Thomas and Kamara would be, you know, really good. And I'm sure Cam Jordan would love that. But, you know, I think he's going to wind up in a good situation. Or Carolina. That's another where they got a really good running team, and they can really build around him. I just think he's going to wind up in a situation that is way more stocked than what Vegas really worked out for him, because I think there was a lot of problems with the O-line for a little bit. And he was able to, you know, when he had weapons, he was able to feature them. Waller was coming off an injury this past year. Hunter Renfrow was coming off an injury this past year. Devontae Adams was in and out a little bit. So, you know, I thought, you know, Derek Carr was trying to weather the storm, and it wasn't as easy for him. So, build around him, have a good O-line, have some really good pieces. He could really make a team a contender going forward.
One thing I'm curious about with you, if you were him, would you want to sign before guys like Aaron Rodgers make their decision on what their future is? And even a guy like if Lamar were to get moved, would you try to get your sting out of the way to get to the team as quick as possible?
I don't really care what goes on with the other quarterbacks. Mm-hmm. I just want to know what I'm walking into. I want to know the city. I want to know what this team looks like. Because if anything, if I commit first, I'm kind of, I'm having those opportunities still around where I can choose first. I don't want Aaron Rodgers or Lamar Jackson throwing a wrench into where I want to play. So if I want to play in Atlanta, I know exactly where Atlanta looks like. Mm-hmm. If I want to play with the Jets, if I want to play in New Orleans, you look at those situations and say, those guys got to get traded. I can make the decision before them. I can work out a contract. I can be ready to sign on the dotted line and go forward before these guys can even go, because let's be honest, the Derek Carr situation looks a lot better than Aaron Rodgers or Lamar Jackson is because you got to give up draft capital. And giving up draft capital, and you're also bringing in so much more money. So you've got to make that work as opposed to bringing Derek Carr in, making a contract, and just working his contract. So I think that can play a lot into it. You don't know what's going to happen with Daniel Jones. Mm-hmm. That could be another opportunity. There are some really cool ways he can fit in, and it's easier to fit in when you're Derek Carr as opposed to a guy who's already on a contract that has to be traded.
Well, and I'm curious too, is the gap between Derek Carr and Aaron Rodgers that great to where you would be willing to give up multiple picks or even players to get the other? I'm kind of with you where take Derek Carr because then we can keep our team intact, right? If you go get Lamar, especially Lamar, you're going to give up a lot more, I think, than Aaron Rodgers even. But you don't destroy the team. And honestly, that's why I think he didn't accept the trade from Oakland to New Orleans, right? Or excuse me, Vegas to New Orleans, right? Why am I going to let you destroy my team that I'm going to?
Well, I think that, and why am I helping out the Vegas Raiders at this point? Why am I looking out to say, hey, you can get something for me? Or no, I'm just going to wait this out. I'm going to wait for you to cut me, and I'm going to make my bread that way. Like, you have way more say when the team's not trying to move you. They didn't even want to give him free range and where he could look. Mm-hmm. So now he's got free reign, and, they didn't get anything for him. That is a terrible, terrible thing. If you look at, like, how to be a general manager, you let a player who has draft value walk out of your building after you just signed to a new contract. Mm-hmm. I know it wasn't fully guaranteed, but there is money that you're going to have to spread out, and you have nothing to show for it. So that's not good general manager play. And I think you're really going to pay the price in trying to bring in a new guy in there.
Well, yeah, and you're not going to be drafting high enough to probably get one of the elite, like a Stroud or even a Bryce Young. So I don't know, they're an interesting spot. Now, you did mention another quarterback, and I'm more interested on a different side of the Daniel Jones argument. He just fired his agent when he's up for big money here. As a player who's been through a couple of contract negotiations, how do you see that, and what do you think is going on there?
Well, I think before you always go into contract negotiations, you and your agent and your agency need to be synonymous on every point. If you guys can't be on the same point throughout the process, you're going to have some fractures, and it's going to, I feel like, a team can pressure the player into signing a contract, but the agent needs to step in and make sure he understands his value. Or, understand where you're going. Do you want to win? Do you want to be a part of a team, that I don't have to make the most money, but I can make enough money and we can keep guys around me? That's up to the player and the agent to work out themselves. You see sometimes in these situations that the team pressures the player, and they make them say, "This is how we do it. This is how we structure our contracts." I don't know what your agent is telling you, but this is all we can do. That's a load of crap. if the NFL, I mean, if the team wants to negotiate, they know how to negotiate. This is a tactic that a lot of teams use. But I think Daniel Jones has to know his worth in this situation. He has to understand that the New York Giants don't have a backup plan, and you can hold him to the fire because of this. You know, there are other contracts they should be restructuring to make sure you can fit not only him but Saquon Barkley as well. You know, I think another point you have to think about is Daniel Jones only changing agencies because of this negotiation, or is that he wants to be with a different agency because, you know, you want a different feel? Sometimes these agencies just get so big that you almost feel, you know, not heard when it comes to what's going on in your life. You want more of a boutique feel rather than, you know, a corporation. And so, you know, it's all about what the player needs, but the player has to maximize his time in the NFL, or, you know, you get fallen by the wayside.
And I agree with that, but I'm also like, if you're the Giants, I mean, do you pay Daniel Jones anywhere from $40 to $45 million a year, knowing you've got to sign Saquon? Like, who's more important to that team, Cam? Saquon Barkley or Daniel Jones?
One thing I'll say, when they just had Saquon, it didn't look too good. And, you know, I thought Saquon had a heck of a year. But I think, you know, you look at what Brian Daboll is bringing, it's Daniel Jones's team. And Saquon is a very big part of it, but I think you need that quarterback to go forward. I don't think you can really just discount what Daboll is doing, because let's be honest, we haven't seen Daniel Jones play this good his entire career. And what you can say is he's improved a lot. He's not a perfect product. I'm not saying he's a top 10 quarterback right now, but he's improved enough to say that relationship between him and Daboll can be something special. And going forward, I think you got to think you can improve on that. And Saquon's got to be another guy you got to figure out. Those two guys are your premier guys. You got to treat Saquon like he's a running back / wide receiver, because that's what he is. And so those have to be your 1 and 2 options. I don't know all the guys they're paying, but they're going to have to move some money around.
Yeah, it just worries me. I'm wondering, can Brian Daboll not do this with multiple guys? Maybe like, what if they got Derek Carr? I mean, you know, it's like, do you want to pay Daniel Jones the $45 million a year when you might be able to get somebody else for that same price, but they're a better player?
So what you're saying is you're not necessarily worried about the number. You're worried about the player.
I am. Yeah, I think Brian Daboll was more behind that than Daniel Jones improved. I like you said, he wasn't very good until Brian Daboll got there.
But isn't that, I would say that's more on the coaching staff before, because
maybe
we could say some things about that coaching staff that happened that made you think, are they putting them in the best spot to win?
That's fair, but I also think, too, I'm going to trust Daboll's track record with what he did with Josh Allen and now Daniel Jones to think if he gets his guy in there, because Daniel Jones isn't even his guy. If he gets a guy in there that he likes, he'll be fine. And that team will be fine. I think Jones is more of a product of the coaching he got this year. And you're right, it wasn't great the previous years. I'm not denying that. But I think Daboll is more to get credit than Daniel Jones is.
We'll see, man. I don't know what's going to happen, but I think, you know, I think it's expected that Daniel Jones is going to resign with the Giants with a new contract. So I think that's the sign that, you know, they all want him there. But, you know, I got to understand there's a lot of media coming from New York, because that's the media capital of, you know, the United States. Like, we filter everything out from there, and you don't know whose point is coming across through all this stuff. So it will be interesting, you know, if they get Daniel Jones, how does Saquon fit under this approach?
Yeah.
Are you going to be able to franchise tag? Because I'll say one thing. I hate the franchise tag, because you put a guy on a 1-year contract, and if he gets hurt, he's screwed. Why is he even allowed, you know, for a guy who played at the top of his game, he's only guaranteed 1 contract? Why do we give owners and general managers a chance to just, you know, this plays into the Lamar Jackson point, because these guys have outplayed their contracts. They are worthy of more money. But we only say, we'll give you 1 year of, bliss. But in real time, you're putting the risk to it way greater than a reward, because you could be screwing that kid's future going forward.
Well, it's the Le'Veon Bell argument, right? I mean, yes. You lived it. Steeler fans and NFL fans can be as frustrated as they want with Le'Veon, but I think what he was doing, the message he was sending, is what you're saying. The franchise tag is dumb to the players because it's a 1 year, and people get enamored with the number, right? Oh, it's $15 million for a year. It's this year, but it's no security, right?
No. And you can look at any other job. You would not want to take that. You would always take the longevity and be able to provide for your family over time, rather than just taking one bump and just saying move on. I just don't think when you see these contracts and you say there's you're not going out in the free agency and saying, hey, I want 1 year. That is not fair to that player. That's not fair to the organization either, because you're saying we're putting all our eggs in one basket in 1 year. You wouldn't go in a team wouldn't go in one free agency and say, hey, we want to sign someone at the top of the market for 1 year only. That makes no sense. And so in retrospect, it does make the teams have more flexibility in being able to smooth the cap and being able to push money down those years. There's been so many teams. You look at Pat Mahomes' contract. It looked ridiculous when it first came out, but all they've done is just push money aside and keep moving money all the way around. There are things you can do when you sign guys to, multi-year contracts.
Yeah, you definitely understand that. I feel like the Steelers kicked money down the road quite a bit throughout your entire career. So let me ask you this. Did you watch any of the new XFL this weekend? You don't even watch the NFL. I don't even know why I asked this to you, but
I'm not I want to watch it. I just haven't had a chance. I was spending some time with the family. I think my daughter's watching TV right now, but we haven't been really watching any TV. But I didn't get a chance to watch the XFL debut. I did send to you though, The Rock's opening remarks for kicking off the season though, and I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, and we'll definitely get into that with comparing his opening remarks to somebody else's opening remarks, maybe a rival of his. But I do, there are a few XFL things I do want to cover here. And one thing is, I'll say several former teammates of yours are in there. It was cool to see Martavis Bryant and a couple other guys that you played with. And one thing I will say the XFL did, and I this is going to come off probably as mean, it just confirmed that some guys couldn't play. Like Paxton Lynch. I think he was actually your teammate at one point. He was benched midway through. It's like the third league he's been benched in. AJ McCarron didn't look great. And I'm like, it's just confirming that some of these guys just weren't very good when they played in the NFL.
Why does it have to be when they mess up that they couldn't play as opposed to the other guy being able to play?
Well, no, they couldn't play in any league they played in. That's what I'm saying. Is the dude, I saw McCarron throw a few passes and I'm like, I know he's been out of the league for a while, but not good.
Were they interceptions or just...
airmail. And it was his first game, but everything was airmailed. Everything.
We're working out the kinks. I think we got to give more of a grace period to these guys. I think this is the first year it's went off, and they're working through some things. But man, I am all for giving more players opportunities to play. I hope it works in conjunction with the NFL soon, because I don't want it to be another USFL thing. I got to hear the horror stories of guys, busting their butts to make it through that season, only to be stranded in hotels and not have a way back. Mm-hmm. And so, I'm all for giving, more opportunities, more time to learn, because, it might not be the sexiest picks of your quarterback or your wide receiver, but I'm pretty sure there have been some D linemen, some O linemen who have made it up through these, who have been scouted, and then they wind up in the NFL. So it's just providing more opportunities like that, if this wasn't around, they fall by the wayside.
No, and I'll say that. I was making fun of Lynch and AJ McCarron, but there are some guys there that I do think have chances of making it to NFL rosters. I mean, I even saw Josh Gordon had, I think, like 6 catches and a touchdown. So like there is talent there, and it is cool to see guys maybe that slip through the cracks are getting an opportunity. But I do want to go back to something that you said, and you hope the NFL gets involved in this. Do you think spring football will only work? And this is a reporter in Pittsburgh said this, Mark Cabali. He said spring football will never work until a team is attached to an NFL team, like a true farm system. Do you agree with that?
I think it doesn't have to be a true farm system. I think that's just giving more and more credit to the owners, and putting more money in their pockets. I just think it's going to work because one, it's got to be sustainable and it's got to be on TV. There are so many ways to watch football. If you can create a partnership where it lives and breathes on like your NFL Plus. I'm already plugging NFL Plus. Oh my gosh,
nice,
this is bad.
Nice job, company man.
ESPN Plus as well. You if we can get that and let it be on there, I think it's bound to keep going forward. If you can get it on Madden, and get these guys going through a system that way. But I think you look at guys like Martavis Bryant, and you look at Josh Gordon, and you see that the rules in NFL have changed. And if those things had changed before, those guys wouldn't be out of the league. And so those guys can play in the NFL. They've proven that. Let's see if they can continue to do it. And, they work their ways back up. I don't like being the judge, jury, and executioner saying a guy can't play in NFL after he's played in the XFL. It's not there to die. They're not there to die. They're there to expand. They're there to keep the game growing. Our game's at a different spot now. We're incorporating more flag football. You can see from Pro Bowl. And so by doing that, you're only going to continue to grow the game, that more guys are going to come from different places. It doesn't just have to be from college to the NFL. It could be from XFL to NFL, or it could be from, flag football or rugby. The more you continue to just keep having different avenues of where football can come from, the more it's going to continue to better your game.
I also think there's things that the NFL might be able to take from the XFL. The XFL has managed to do kickoffs. They've also, the onside kick rule is now a 4th and 15, which honestly, I've saw people saying this on Twitter, that might be too easy. You need to make it harder because an onside kick is very hard to recover. But there are things I think the NFL will take, and I do think there's some guys now. And one thing I did want to ask you on this last thing on this is, are guys who play in this league, are they draft eligible this year? Like, can they be in this year's draft?
I don't think they're draft eligible. I think they go straight to the free agency.
Okay. I guess they've been drafted, so that's a good point.
Yeah. And so, I think, there's going to have to either be a push into incorporating from the NFL, or, I see them working out different things, which I think is a very cool idea, to work out your problems to a different organization. Working hand in hand. But I think there's got to be either a money bump to really be inclusive and intentional about it. But I think you can really use this to work out some things and see where you can grow. Because let's be honest, some of these guys are going to wind up on NFL teams. Whether you like it or not, like, there are scouts at these games. They are watching, and all is it going to take for, we just had a Mr. Irrelevant play in a playoff game. What's going to happen when we have a kid from spring football playing in a football game? I mean, in a playoff game. That is going to be a story, and I'm going to be here for it, and we're going to be talking about it, and we're going to be saying, we talked about this moment and saying it was going to happen, and now it's another avenue. Just because we saw Brock Purdy playing that in the playoff game, we can now say it doesn't matter where you're drafted. It matters what you do when you get there and once you get the opportunity. Now it's going to be what happens when spring football happens, and a guy from there is taken and put into the NFL, and now he's playing in the playoffs.
Yeah, I still don't think Paxton Lynch or AJ McCarron are going to be that guy. But you're right. It is going to be. It is. There were some guys there that were impressive. Okay, but we got to talk about it. Okay, you mentioned it earlier.
Right.
The Rock's
speech. The hating of these speeches.
The Rock's speech versus Vin Diesel's All-Star Game speech. Who did it better? And also, what the heck was The Rock thinking wearing a jersey when he did his speech?
All right. I know this is our not just football topic, but we're going to create another segment called Squash and Beef because we need The Rock and Vin Diesel to just get along, man. We need more of these guys together. You know, why do we need to be on different sides? You guys don't like getting hit. You guys create great movies together. You guys can't create great movies apart. Let's be honest. Like, who saw Central Intelligence? That was terrible. The Rock, we want you on, by the way. Okay, the speeches, I don't know where they were going with either of them. The Rock speech was more powerful because, I felt like he was inspiring these guys to live out their dreams again. Vin Diesel was in the middle of Utah talking about family and this great opportunity. And I'm like, he's just trying to promote Fast X. And so, and what he got us talking about on our Omaha production. So I just think I'm running through a wall for both of them, because I want to see them as a tag team again. I want to see these guys taking on Brock Lesnar in Fast 11 with John Cena. So how about that?
Oh, man, I don't know. I think Vin Diesel is like, great job getting family in there. And, you're right. He's promoting. I'm going to lean Vin Diesel on this because he didn't have the ridiculous outfit that The Rock. I mean, seeing The Rock speech when you said it to me, and I'm like, he's in full jersey right now. Like, what is he doing? And he had all the great cliches and I got a chip on my shoulder. Let's have a chip together or whatever the chip of the shoulder thing was. Like, I don't know. The Rock was a little much. So, but it also felt like Vin Diesel didn't know he was making a speech until about 30 seconds before he made the speech. So I don't know. I didn't think either were great. It tends
to work out that way. They probably came up to her like, "Hey, Vin, you want to plug Fast X and be on TV?" Sure, I'll do it. It's for family.
And I'll say this too. Did they make great movies together? Like, I like the Fast and the Furiouses, but like,
dude, are we not going to act like 5 and 6 are not like
they are? But like,
they're also of the Fast and the Furious.
Listen, I'll watch 5 anytime it's on. I will. But man, are they good movies? I don't know. I don't know if they're
great movies. They're great movies.
They definitely got away from the racing. It became a heist movie about 5 in. So
well, I'm trying to figure out how we've gone through all these movies with racing and they haven't even gone on like to a NASCAR track. I'm waiting for that so they can actually race some real racers.
They don't do that, man. They're street racers. They're the real racers.
Are they the real racers though?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Vin Diesel told us early on, it don't matter if you win by an inch or a mile. Winning's winning.
Whatever. I want to know who actually wrote the scripts for these because
I think it's all different people. I think it's all different. I think it's a different group. We'll have to ask somebody that, but I do think it's different.
I think we just got to squash the beef. The Rock and Vin Diesel need to work it out so we can have Fast 11 and everybody come together. And then at the end, they can just say, family is family. And then just keep it going from there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think see The Rock and Vin Diesel fight John Cena. Oh no, John Cena's on their team now.
Cena is actually Vin Diesel's brother.
Which
sorry, I just ruined it for everybody.
Oh but yeah, spoiler alert.
Had your time.
Yeah, spoiler alert.
The movie.
The question is what wrestler would be the funniest to put in the franchise? But they got to be dressed as the wrestler, like Gold Dust or someone like that. In the Fast and the Furious would be great.
I'm trying to think who would be the funniest wrestler.
Mark Henry. Just get a huge guy in there. The Big Show. I don't know. Somebody gigantic that doesn't fit. I don't know. Mankind. Oh, I just got set Mankind. That'd be a good one. But what if he was like Cactus Jack or Dude Love?
Yes.
Like he was multiple people. So he could have been.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, okay.
I was gonna say you could either do Mankind or Gold Dust. But you got to think someone like outside the box, someone who's just like, you're like, what were they thinking? And like, how would they even fit into this? And so I'm like, oh man, you need someone. I think Mankind's probably going to be the one for me, just because I feel like it would be so off the rails and so weird. and then he could stick his sock into somebody's mouth.
Oh yeah, got to incorporate that. I don't know who runs the Fast and the Furious, but they have to be the biggest wrestling fan of all time. They just keep adding wrestlers to it. It's insane.
Yeah, let's be honest. Wrestlers are good actors.
Yeah, they're turning into that. I mean,
Batista,
Batista,
guys.
Yeah.
If you took a look at my commercial, I would love to be in the Fast and Furious.
I will say the amount of people that texted me and said you did a good job on that, you'd be proud. A lot of people thought you were pretty funny, and it was short, but you were pretty good.
Housekeeping.
Yeah, I know. And I actually like the one after you take the door to the head and then you get up. You did a very good, like, oh, that hurt. Like, you looked like you were hurt. You really sold it. You sold it. Yeah. Very smooth.
I do.
The thing about Caesars Sportsbook, it's not just an app. It's your key to a whole empire. Hotels, casinos, restaurants, shows, Caesars Palace. I'm sure you've heard of it. Every bet you place with Caesars Sportsbook brings you closer to perks only Caesars can offer. Hotel stays at iconic destinations, app bonuses, merch, show tickets, and many more Caesars Rewards perks. So get started today. Register using code OMAHAFULL and then place your first bet up to $1,250. If you win, congrats. If you don't, you'll get your stake back as a bet credit.
All right, guys, we got a chance to sit down with Shawne Merriman a couple weeks ago at Super Bowl Radio Row. Take a listen. We are live at the Caesars Sportsbook set, and we have a special guest, Mr. Lights Out, Shawne Merriman. How you doing today,
What's
brother?
up, my man? How you doing?
I'm good. Appreciate you coming on.
Thanks for having me, dude. You know, I've been watching for a long time, man. I didn't know you were this big, dude. Look, and I got some size, but it's different when you see somebody else that you watch for a long time and you meet the guys in person. So it's been cool.
Dude, I watched you and I wanted to be like you. I wanted to do the Lights Out. I wanted to be part of that. That was dope. Tell me how that started.
My sophomore year when I was in high school, I knocked out four kids in the game.
Oh.
And four in the game.
They didn't throw you out of the game?
No, back then, back then you were applauded for it. They're like, yeah, do 5, knock out, do 5, right?
Right.
And so I remember like around 20 students come run up to me after the game. They said, "Oh, you knocked those guys' lights out." And I said, "Yeah, well, call me Lights Out." I thought nothing of it. And I got to school on Monday, and everybody like, "Yeah, good game, lights." And I begged my mom to go let me get a Lights Out tattoo on my right forearm.
Yeah.
And she told me to get the hell out the room. So that was first. And then after 2 weeks of asking her every day, she finally let me get this Lights Out switch on my right forearm. Yeah. And so that's where the switch on and off came from the sack dance. So,
dude, that's dope. I'm thinking of it like I gotta ask you, how do you feel about the rules for the quarterbacks when now you can't even touch them?
I would be playing for free. I mean, I would just come in and just write my checks out to the league right before the game because I do appreciate them making the game better, like the helmet stuff.
Yes,
guys defensive. I mean, back then, the crackback blocks and the defensive players. Getting rid of all that stuff, I love it. It's great because that you can have some real problems there. But when you're going out and playing the game, your first thought is, I need to get this guy on the ground by any means necessary.
Exactly.
And so when that happens, you're like, okay, what do I do? Do you pick him up? You can't lay on him. You can't. I mean, I used to love pushing off of guys on my way up.
You got to. You send a message that way.
You send a message. You get it. You hit a guy and you push up off of him on the way up, and you can't even do that anymore. So I'm like, I would just be calculating my fines after the game.
I can see
but
that.
it is tough as a defensive player to go out and play the style of football that you want because there's so many rules now.
Right. Is there anything you would want to see change going forward?
For
the pass rushers.
Well, yeah. Come on.
Listen,
you
ain't
pass rushers talking here. Come on,
I would love more holding calls. I mean,
facts.
That's
facts.
Because I think if you're going to protect the offense so much, you got to start looking at how much they're doing on the offensive line. Mm-hmm. And I've never really been a big complainer. Like, everybody gets held, but some of this stuff is blatant. I'm also seeing guys, the left and right tackles jump off the line of scrimmage a lot faster.
That has been happening a ton.
That has been happening so much, and no one's calling it. And again, I'm not the one to complain or anything like that because I'm in my mind, I'm like, okay, I'm just not going to make an excuse. I'm going to make a play. But if a guy got a half a step or a full step on you, he's just sitting there waiting on you to come at that point. So I think they've cleaned up the game as much as possible, but you have to stop and from taking the integrity away from why everybody loved the game so much.
What's the one thing you miss? since you retired?
The locker room.
The locker room.
Yeah, because you get a bunch of dudes that from everywhere, right? And somehow some guy from the country is best friends with some guy from the city. And you can't explain it, right? They're two total different. One guy can't dress worth a damn. He coming in and just beat up clothes and holes and everything.
Yep.
And the other guy comes in and Louis everything. And somehow they.
And then you got a guy in overalls. It makes no sense.
Right, and somehow they become best friends, and that's I think that. Is what I miss about the game the most. Just being around wins and losses. After wins and losses, you together with the guys, and I probably miss that the most.
What was Philip like? Philip Rivers,
the best dude. I mean, I went to University of Maryland, and Phil went to NC State.
Right.
And so we played him in the conference, and I hated him. I hated Phil with every ounce of my heart. I mean, I hated him because, when you're watching film in college or in the pros, there's no sound.
There's no sound.
And so you're watching guys, so you just see him the whole time doing this, and you don't know what he's saying.
And he looks very petty.
He's looked petty. He's talking,
Yes.
And so when you realize when you're on this team that he might be telling you, hey, great hit last play.
Yeah.
You're like, hold on, this dude's not a jerk at all, but because I always thought he was.
Right.
And he's probably the most competitive guy I've ever played with, because it didn't stop on the field.
Okay.
When you got off in the weight room, you can be on the bench, dumbbells. He'll walk by and say something to you.
I like it.
Right, he'll come by
it.
and be a table full of D linemen and linebackers. We're all sitting together. Phil come over and just start talking crap to everybody. And, he's the ultimate competitor and one of the greatest, teammates I got a chance to play with.
What's the one craziest thing he's ever said that you've ever heard him say, trash talk-wise?
Phil used to rap. Like,
Philip Rivers used to rap?
So, what – yes. Whatever. So, he would –
Didn't know that was on the bingo card.
Yeah. So whatever the hottest radio show –
right.
So whatever the hottest radio song was on. Like, you ever been around a kid that says everything you say?
Yeah.
And you got to watch what you say around. If that was Phil.
Oh, God.
So, like, Phil, if there was a hot radio song that just kept playing all the time, Phil would know the lyrics. And so we'll be sitting in the defensive team meeting room, and we'll hear somebody coming down the hallway rapping, and you turn around, and Phil walks by the door. We're like, no way. No way. And I'm talking about rapping the whole song.
So if we're looking at 8 Mile, is he more B Rabbit or Cheddar Bob?
B Rabbit.
Yeah, it sounds like it's B Rabbit.
Yeah, B Rabbit, man. And he was just, like, he just never stopped. I laugh about it now because you do miss that part of him, just being so damn competitive.
Right.
But he definitely knew whatever the hottest song was out, he can rap that entire song.
Wow. I was not expecting that answer.
Cam, what's the craziest thing he's ever said to you? You've played against him a couple times.
Phil was really nice to me for some reason. Like, Phil was
which is unexpected, man, because guys like you, I'm sure he hated.
Yeah, he was nice because, like, he knew my neighbors. So, like, we would talk and be like, oh, how's so-and-so, good to see you. We've just been talking. I'm just like, Phil, we got a game. I'm about to sack you. I don't really care what you're doing right now.
But it was all like a game to him, man. And once you understood, like, what kind of person he was, he had no ill will towards anybody.
No,
he never had any ill will towards anybody. But you can just hit him as hard as you possibly can, and he'll tap you on the head while you're still on him and say, hey, great hit. You got to do a little harder next time. You're like, what? Who are you talking to? He just had that about him.
Which quarterback did you enjoy sacking the most?
Tom? Yeah.
Okay.
Because Tom didn't think he should have been hit.
Yeah.
They
all think they shouldn't be hit.
Yeah. Yeah. He was great to go against. Big Ben. Mm-hmm. I love because Big Ben was like always slippery, man. Mm-hmm. Like a couple times I had him. We played you guys on. It was a Sunday night football game. I think in 06, 07 or whatever. And he got a ball off, but he had me at the top of him, and he had another guy on his legs, and he threw the ball still. And I'm like, how? How did he get rid of the ball? And so it was fun getting Big Ben as well. Actually, I think that was my first sack on him against, like, it was a Sunday night or Monday night game.
Oh, wow.
So it was great, man. You guys are always tough to play against. That atmosphere was always insane.
Yeah. Okay, I got to ask you about this because you played in San Diego. How was it with the fans, with so many different fan bases coming in? They would take over the stadium sometimes, and it's different. Like, I think Steeler fans travel well, but I've seen so many different fans take over that stadium so many different times.
Yeah, because everybody want to come live in San Diego.
That's true. Yeah, it's a great destination. Yeah,
people not getting up and going to move in Kansas City.
Yeah,
like unless there's a job out there paying you a ton of money, you ain't going. You ain't going to Kansas City.
No,
and I think that that San Diego and LA, but mainly San Diego is a destination, a hotbed from everybody.
Right.
Retirement and just different people who come from all parts of the country, especially. The ones that's cold and not that great. They all come to San Diego. So I always say this: we would notice it at the game. It wasn't like we were oblivious to all the other fans, but we knew after that first quarter they ain't cheering no more. Like that was our goal. Like, okay, we about to shut everybody up after this first quarter and get them switching their hats to that Chargers gear.
Okay. Give me your NFL moment. Welcome to the NFL moment.
Probably that $32,000 bill they ran up on me my rookie year.
Man.
Probably that.
Was that fines? Was it fines?
No, it was dinner.
The rookie dinner.
The
rookie dinner.
Rookie dinner will get you.
I've heard horror stories about that.
You're sitting next to them.
What all they order? What was the order?
Everything. I mean, I didn't even know what like Louis XIII was.
Everybody finds out about Louis very quickly.
I didn't know. I'm just thinking it's another $100 bottle that's on the shelf, right?
Yeah.
I don't know about them. I just turned 21. What do I know?
Right.
And I didn't know about 3 of them because that's what they ordered.
Yes.
And I think Drew Brees he had like $2,000 or $3,000 bottle of wines. I didn't even know wines can cost $1,000. I had no idea.
Nobody knows that.
No, I found out. I found out. So that was my welcome to the NFL moment.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I had my little brother on the team this past year. And I'm like, bro, you're not going to have to buy a bottle. And he was like, bottle of what? And I'm like, a Louis XIII bottle. And he was like, inform me. Expand on that. I'm like, no, you'll just find out when we get there.
He's a 6th-round pick, though.
That's
6th-round pick still got to pay?
Yeah, guys, look.
He's my little brother. I had to.
That's wrong. I'd rather get beat up.
I'd
rather like the big brother punch me in the stomach.
You went to Tim Tebow where they tie you to the goalpost and shave your head?
Shave it all off, but I'm not spending that what is it, $4,000 or $5,000 for the bottle now? I mean,
I got him a discount.
What is that discount?
$2,500.
You got a Groupon for $800 for $8 off. I mean, that's real damage. That hurt no matter what. So,
okay. Well, we don't want to take up too much of your time. Last question: What's some projects you got going on right now?
Lights Out Extreme Fighting, my MMA league. I launched in 2018. We're now on Fubo Sports, Fubo TV. So if you don't have Fubo, get it.
Get it.
We just moved into the top 10 most watched all time on Fubo Sports. We had a big fight January 14th in Riverside. Got another big fight coming up in April. That'll be live on Fubo TV, Fubo Sports. Trying to get some of these former football guys, man. Not everybody has this long, career and stuff like that. So we're seeing a constant transition of former athletes transitioning into combat sports, and I'm just, giving these guys a platform to come and do it with Lights Out Extreme Fighting. And I tell them, I say, you're gonna be on TV. We got a great streaming partner with Fubo, so come on, man, we'll do it.
That's awesome to hear. So everybody check that out. Shawne Merriman, I appreciate you coming on. And that is another episode of Not Just Football. Appreciate you, brother.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.